pleased to be joined by the longtime chronicler of the National Football League and Houston sports from the Houston Chronicle, our good friend John McClain. How are you, John?
Rich, we're sad to see you go.
It was great, John. It was a great week. The city shined, as did that stadium last night.
We were very happy. Of course, when you have great weather, we have another LA-type day today. But when you have great weather and a great game, a fantastic finish, the greatest I've seen in my 38 years of covering the NFL, everybody's happy.
So where do you stand on the subject of Brady? Greatest ever, John? That gets sealed last night, or was it already sealed for you going into the game?
Rich, it was already sealed for me. I'd said it. I'd written it. That just was kind of like a cherry on top of the sundae. 28-3 was nothing. Try 35-3. I mentioned when we were planning at the Chronicle all of our pro Falcons stories, I said, hey, remember Buffalo? And I was joshing, of course. Next thing you know, they pulled off a Buffalo Bills type comeback like they did with the Oilers, 35-3 with 7 minutes left in that third quarter. In this one with the great catches. Too bad Julio Jones makes one of the greatest catches in NFL history, and it's a footnote.
I thought that was the greatest catch in the history of the Super Bowl. I tweeted out at the time that it's better than Tyree, and just what it meant to the team. I thought it was a wrap. I thought that was the signature moment of Super Bowl 51 that we had just seen, and that would lead to at least 3 points for Atlanta, and that would wrap the game up. What did you think, John?
I thought exactly like you did, and I know Kyle Shanahan will be kicking himself all the way to San Francisco because they didn't go for the field goal in an 11-point lead. But when I saw Edelman make that incredible catch, it seemed to me like God was behind the Patriots in this comeback. It just wasn't meant to be for the Falcons. A very class organization. But I don't care what people think, Rich, about the Patriots. You have to admire them and respect them because of everything they've accomplished. But this one, 28-3 with 8:36 left, phenomenal.
Well, how did it happen? I'm going through it. I guess it's the sack force fumble on a 3rd and 1 that either shouldn't have been called or Ryan should have checked out of, or a sack force fumble that shouldn't happen because Devontae Freeman should have blocked Dante Hightower instead of giving a free shot to his quarterback, or it's the 2nd and 11 throw that led to a sack that shouldn't have happened after the Julio Jones play, or it's something else. John, what is it?
Those were defensive plays, and then, of course, we expect them to make the offensive plays. But once again, the team that allowed the fewest points won a Super Bowl. Only one that hasn't, that scored the most, was San Francisco. And I know this, next time somebody's got white uniforms, I'm going with them. That's 12 out of 13. The next time it's the team that allows the fewest, I'm going with them. But to me, and I know there was some great performances and great plays by the Patriots, but my goodness, Tom Brady, what he did when they were down 28-3, what he did in the fourth quarter and overtime, it's almost like the Falcons were helpless. And there are still people hold out for Montana. You left out Johnny Unitas. The two greatest I've ever seen were Johnny U and Montana, and now Brady has surpassed them. And what strength. He's 39 years old. He says he wants to play a few more years. Who would doubt him?
Exactly. Who would doubt him? And it's interesting. Last night was the first overtime game in an NFL championship game since the Unitas' greatest game ever played.
And then the last overtime in a pro football game was the Dallas Texans double overtime over the Houston Oilers in 1962 when Tommy Booker kicked the winning field goal. So those are few and far between. And, of course, those of us on deadlines, we're howling like, oh, my God, we already had all of our stories written, our plans ready to go. But, man, who wouldn't sacrifice that for that kind of ending? We'll be talking about this way beyond the next Super Bowl. I can't imagine, Rich, that the next one in Minneapolis could beat this one. We've seen Santonio Holmes' great catch, Vinatieri's winning field goals, Butler's interception, John Taylor's catch from Montana, but nothing beats this.
I agree. John McClain of the Houston Chronicle joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What'd you make of the Hall of Fame class, John?
I was surprised Morton Anderson got in. He'd been a finalist before. He is right now the greatest non-active kicker. I believe Adam Vinatieri is the greatest kicker in history. And I believe when Vinatieri comes up, he's got a chance to be a first ballot, and that's rare. But yet we put two in, LaDainian Tomlinson and
Jason Taylor. Yeah.
And I thought both of those guys were worthy. And they had great presentations, a lot of spirited debate. But it's, of course, there's more controversy over who we did not put in. Paul Tagliabue as a senior nominee, and then, of course, Terrell Owens, who didn't even make the cut from 10 to 5.
So why didn't they make it, from what you heard?
Tagliabue took an hour. Just like the last time he was a finalist, he took an hour. And remember this, Rich, and this is something I would tell Terrell Owens. There's 48 people on that committee. 10 people can keep you out. 38 people might vote for you. 38 might speak up for you. So blasting the committee is like if we had all blasted the Eagles just the times he was making a fool out of himself. But no, we didn't do that. So I believe, and I voted him on the first cut, and he didn't make the second one. I believe everybody thinks he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame from a numbers standpoint. But when they say off the field, that means in your private life, not in the locker room, not on the sideline. Peter King wrote a great thing about it today in Monday Morning Quarterback into great detail. People should check it out. He's going to get in. When, I don't know. Randy Moss is coming up. I'd love to see us put them both in at the same time.
Well, is it true, John? Is it true that the selectors will not put in another wide receiver first ballot because they want Jerry Rice to be the last such to be inducted?
I've never heard that. I've never heard that anywhere.
Okay.
It's never come up in any of our meetings. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of stuff people in the media, on TV, radio say, well, they know what's going on in there. They're clueless. They have no idea because I see them saying it. And I'm like, where do they get that stuff? Every candidate we put in was deserving. Armando Salguero from the Miami Herald came in with some great numbers on Jason Taylor compared to the greatest defensive players in history. Touchdowns, forced fumbles, sacks, tackles for loss, passes deflected. And when you look at him, you're like, wow, you didn't really realize that about Jason Taylor. And when you put him up against some of the greatest in history, the eye test, the smell test, you go, oh, no. But when you look at it and study it, he was incredible. So I think everybody that made it deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't leave people out because they don't deserve it. It's just, people cancel each other out. I thought we were going to put in a safety. Lancher Dawkins, I think they cancel each other out. I thought Joe Jacoby should have been in years ago, but the offensive linemen cancel each other out. It is an incredible responsibility, Rich, as you know.
Yes.
It is a difficult day to go through that, but it's such an honor to be able to be part of that committee. And I tell everybody, Rich, just be patient.
No, and I'm with you on that. Harry Carson waited 7 years, and I saw him at the commissioners' party on Friday night, and I'm like, you realize you've been in the Hall of Fame 4 years longer than you waited? And he goes, huh. Okay.
Do you remember, Rich, when he said, leave me out.
Yeah.
Take my name out of consideration.
He doesn't even think about that.
And then, of course, when he was voted in, he turned to mush.
No, I know, and he doesn't think about it now even. He doesn't even think about how long he's waited. But Terrell Owens passes all tests, though, John. I mean, he passes every test that's out there in terms of metric, eye test, smell test, what he did in the Super Bowl on a surgically repaired ankle that he had no business playing on. I mean, that one was the head scratcher for me, but I also understand how difficult your gig is, and it's thankless. So
it is thankless, and there's some tremendous prospects. T.O.'s, you're right. You look at his performance, yes, he did, but we consider other things in the field. Some of the things, 5 teams getting suspended, getting cut, those things ought to have weigh into the decision. But I do know this, Terrell Owens will be in the Hall of Fame.
A couple quick hitters for you before I let you go. John McClain of Houston Chronicle. Tony Romo, where does he wind up next year?
It won't be Houston, I can tell you that. Other than that, I have no idea. If I'm the Cowboys, I'd keep him. I don't want Sanchez or Moore as my backup. I'd say, Tony, we love you. You're going to make a lot of money, but we need you as a backup.
Why not Houston, John?
They've got other issues, as Bob McNair said last week. They want to develop their own guy. They're going to get one in the draft. Now the key, of course, finding somebody they like and trying to be able to maneuver to get that player.
Yeah, but Denver did it and it was able to get the guy that they wanted while getting a ring with a veteran in Peyton Manning. Why wouldn't Houston want to do something like that?
Well, they just don't. They thought they did, and it didn't work out. Now they want their own guy.
All right, last question for you. Who had the best catch going to the ground this year in that building? A Houston Texan or Lady Gaga last night at
Lady
halftime?
Gaga blew everybody away. She made me go Gaga, I can tell you that.
Thanks for chatting, John. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich, as always.
Take care. This is John McClain.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.